Welcome back to another of Cubiccube of reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing Camel Up Cup. I guess it's Camel Up. This is by Zeman Games and looks like it was created by Stefan Bogen. So I bought this game mostly for like a family game that I could play with my daughter, possibly wife, or to some like family gathering type of things. I'd like to have a few I guess kind of party game style, and it looked cute and whatnot, and I'll get into the review. I'll do at the end obviously about final thoughts, and I'll show a little bit about the game, but one thing I will say is that it appealed to a wider audience than I thought it would. And so without giving too much away, I'm going to go ahead and cut to components, kind of overview of the game, and then I'll talk about what my final thoughts are. Alright, see you guys in a second. Alright, so here's Camel Up kind of set up and ready to go. On this, we've got some of the components. We have the camels. That's what's actually going to be moving around the track, and you're essentially going to be betting on them. You have the betting tiles that you can take for whoever you think is going to end up in first, second place. So there's 3 of each tiles of each color of camel. You have the dice pyramid, which in here you actually shake it up, drop it, and then push this little thing here, and once one of them falls out, you just pick it up, close the door, pick it up, and that gives you your result, which is I mean, it's kind of dumb, but you know, for kids and whatnot, it's fun. You know, it's a fun little rolling mechanic. I mean, honestly, you could use something else, but there's one of the big things about this is you don't know which order the camels are going to move in, so that keeps that information hidden versus you know, putting them in a bag and drawing one out or whatnot. And then you also have these tiles, which allow you to roll. Couple other components that you'll have to use during the game is Egyptian pounds, which you're going to use to basically it's kind of your victory points, but you can also lose this money and victory points by choosing the wrong camels, as is just a start player token. Big. And then each player, based on the character that they chose, which does not matter other than what you want to look like, has an oasis tile and what are they called? A desert, an oasis side and a desert side. And what you can do is you can take this and place it somewhere onto the board. So if I place that there with the desert side, if a camel lands on it, right here, so -1. If a camel lands on it, I would gain a coin, but the camel, instead of moving forward one and stopping like it normally would, it actually would go backwards a space, and I'll kind of explain a little bit in a second, but would go underneath this other camel, because position in the camel stack is very important for scoring. Oh, forgot to show these. These aren't used very often until probably the end of the game, unless you've got some pretty good luck here. But that's just worth 20 points. That's worth 10. And then the last thing that you have is each character has 5 of these cards, and they each have a different color camel on it. And what you can do is, as one of your actions, you can bet on the overall winner of the race or the overall loser up there of the race. So basically how a game will start is you're going to have somebody just take all of the dice out of there and roll them, and that will determine the starting camel position. So here I have orange and white, or red. That's one of the only negatives, is that the die, the camel, and the little tent is clearly orange, but these clearly look red to me. You know, the color doesn't quite match on the camel and that, so not a big deal, but I always want to say it's the red one when I'm picking up the red tile, and when I'm moving the orange camel, it's the orange camel, and it was a little confusing. I wish the colors were a little bit more together on that, but whatever, no big deal. So anyway, we have white and orange, and then blue is in spot 2, and yellow and green are in spot 3. So if we were to end a turn right now, yellow would be in first place and green would be in second, because yellow is on top. Now, one of the cool mechanics of this game is how you move the camels. So what you would do is you would take one of these tiles. If you want to move the camel, that will give you a coin, and that's one of the actions that you can do. And then you would take the pyramid, shake it up, drop it, and then you get your die and the number. So 3 on blue. So let's say 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to keep doing this, and let's see if I can get one of these. There we go. Okay. So you put them on the little tents just to show people who's went, so you know which ones have went and which ones have not. So orange got 3. So what orange will do is, even though it was in last place, and white was in second to last, it's going to move 1, 2, 3. So what it does now is orange has moved, blue has moved. Now white, green, and yellow can still move. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, just see what happens. Okay, so white then, because orange would carry white with it, now white will just do 1, 2, and move over to 6. See if I can get it. Yep. Alright, so green is going to move 2, 1, 2, and then that leaves yellow going last. Now, in this case, and I'll go over kind of the actions that you can do, if no one had been taking betting cards now, this would be the time that everyone's going to start pulling yellow, because yellow can go 1, and that would end up, no matter if it went 1 or 3, it would end up in first place. So then we would do 1, 2, 3. So you can see there in one round, of course these are very high numbers that I just rolled. In one round, yellow went from, what was yellow at? I guess second or first. I guess it went from first back to first, I think. But white, which was second to last, I think, or very last, second to last, moved up to second place. So there's a lot of randomness in this, but that's kind of the point. I mean, you're betting, you're gambling. So that's one of the things that you can do, is you can take one of those pyramid tiles, which again is this right here. You can take one of these pyramid tiles, you gain a coin, and you get to roll and kind of even up the odds, so you're not just blind betting on the round. The second thing that you can do is you can take one of these scoring tiles. So let's say that I had chosen this one. This is blue. If the blue camel ended up in first place, give me 1 second here. Oop. Alright, so if the blue camel ended up in first place, you would get 5 coins. If you ended up in second, you would get 1, and any other place it would be -1. So in this case, the blue camel is second to last. I would actually lose a coin for taking this. On the other hand, if I'd have taken the yellow one, I would have gotten 5 coins for him being in first place. Now, there are 3 tiles in a stack, and what that means is that the first person to bet on a camel can possibly gain the highest amount, which is 5 from it. The second person to take a yellow tile can get 3, and the third can get 2. Then again, they're the same on all of them. For second place is always a coin, and third through fifth is always you lose a coin for the bet. The third action that you can do, I kind of showed a little bit earlier, but you can take this tile and you can lay it anywhere on the track. And again, whenever a camel lands on it, you get a coin, and then you can either choose to have it move one backwards, or if you flip it to this other side, one forward. You do get these returned to you at the end of every leg, so it's not a permanent placement once it's there, and you cannot place 2 of these directly adjacent to each other. So you, number one, you can't place it in the one spot. I don't know why you ever would, but so you can't place it in 2 and then 3. You would have had to have put it here, so there's at least one space between them. And then the fourth action that you can do is you can take one of these cards and bet on either, and you place it face down, you bet on either the overall winner or the overall loser. And the order of these is very important, because you're not going to be able to see here, but the first person who chooses the correct camel to win the race or lose the race, on both of these it's going to be the same amounts, gains 8 coins at the very end of the game. Second is 5, third is 3, fourth is 2 coins, and fifth is 1 coin. Now the other thing that you got to be careful though is for every card that you place in here, because you can place multiple camels in either side, is that you lose a coin for each incorrect. So for every camel that you say will come in first that doesn't, you're going to lose a coin. Same with for every camel that you think is going to come in last. So what you're going to do is you're going to play rounds. Each person's going to take one of the tiles, either to roll the dice, to bet, place one of these cards, or place one of the Sahara desert tiles, or Savannah, not Savannah, Oasis. Oasis or desert tiles. And then that's going to keep going until every camel is moved. And you'll know that by both the dice out on the tents and once these are all pulled. Then you do a scoring phase, which again you'll score based on your betting counters, or betting tiles. You'll score for each pyramid tile that you have. And then you'll just put all the dice back in and start a whole new round. And then this goes until one camel finally finishes or crosses the finishing line here. Again, keep in mind that if the camels all cross like this, it's only the top one that would count as finished. So it's just the blue camel because he's on top. He is actually in first place. And it's probably impossible to tell on a camera, but actually if I could get them flat here, you can actually see they're a little bit off center, so his nose is just a little bit farther ahead than green and yellow, so it, it's that finishing by a nose type of thing. And that's basically the entire game. Now the difference is the player interactions, and it's so silly. And well, I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. I'll just get to my kind of final thoughts on it, and I'll tell you how I feel about the game. Final thoughts on Camel Up. Like I said, I bought it to play kind of a family game with my daughter, and Number one, I guess I do want to put a caveat. It is betting, gambling game. Obviously, it's all in fun, but if a parent has an issue with gambling or teaching their children that, that's something you may want to stay away from. But I think it also can help teaching them. One of the very first game that we played, my daughter just blindly took a betting tile and got a long shot and made a ton of money on the very first turn, and then kept doing that. Standard, addictive, I guess, betting mentality, like, oh, I can make a lot if I bet early and without any information and just hope to God that it'll work, and it didn't. She ended up losing. And it helps you, I would think, to kind of teach children about the dangers of gambling, and also to show them that even in a game like this, where, do not get me wrong, there's a massive amount of luck at play, there is still some strategy to it. Betting right off the bat on the camel that's closest ahead, or the one that you just got a feel about, usually doesn't work out. Letting a couple of the dice go through, strategically placing your desert tiles or your oasis tiles, can really affect where a camel may or may not end up. Betting the house on one thing probably isn't a good idea. Spreading out your bets a little bit, not too much, because you can lose money. Lots of stuff there. But anyway, my daughter and my wife both enjoyed it quite a bit, and I haven't taken it to a bigger family gathering, so I don't know on that yet. But I can't imagine that people won't like it. I mean, it's short, it's quick. It says it's 30 minutes. And I don't know how you could get AP over this game, but I would say easily the game will take a little under 30 minutes. No big deal. Even with setup, it's not very hard. The other positive, I kind of threw it out as a joke for our weekly game night to play it, because I thought it was kind of fun when I played it with my daughter, and I wasn't sure if they'd like it, and we were, well, not all of us, but a few of us were super intoxicated, and it was just a good, stupid, fun game. Definitely what I would consider the beer and pretzels game. I mean, we played it 3 times in a row. When our game night would normally end, just because it was so quick, it was so fast, it didn't even feel, it didn't feel like a chore at all to reset it up or any of that. We just had a ton of fun with it. So, to kind of my standard points with this, game time, 30 minutes, super quick. You can play it just about any time. It's a great filler game. I do think that it would probably be better with more people. I mean, 3 players was fun, but with 5 players, it was just massive chaos. You had no idea, like, you're just pissed that someone else is taking, someone rolls, and then you see, like, oh god, this camel is going to win, and then you realize that there's 2 or 3 people ahead of you. Like, you're not getting a scoring tile. It's just not happening. So you've missed your chance for that, and there's a lot of chance for chaos and name calling and just kind of stupid fun stuff. Table space, it's extremely small. Again, this is the board, which is smaller. I mean, this fits in my camera for the most part. Yeah, it does fit in my camera. Really small. Doesn't take a huge footprint. I mean, this would be even tiny dinner tables and stuff can handle this, and you don't really have to deal with that much in, like, your player area. You would need one of these tiles, these cards, and then, you know, some chits, some of the money. So not a ton of room on that. And then, I mean, I would just say it's incredibly fun for what it is. Oh, and budget. That's right. It was $40. So, I mean, not too bad for what you get out of it. I mean, it's super simplistic, but I would say that it's a great game for the cost. The little camel guys are really neat. I guess there's an expansion. I don't have that. That makes it a little bit longer. It looks like a bigger track. Some other things. Extra dice, and then it goes up to 10 players. I think this is 8 right off the bat. Yeah, 2 to 8 players. So you can have a ton of people playing this game. But yeah, I would say that if you've been looking at it, if you want a silly game, if you want something that's quick, if you need something for a kid, or a bunch of drunken buddies, yeah, definitely pick it up. Alright, well, that is it for tonight, my review of Camel Up. You guys have a good day.